There are many small shortcuts on macOS that, when combined and used together, make a huge difference, and anyone can set this up for free without needing to code using the Shortcuts app. In fact, you can even download them. The slowest way to run these shortcuts is from the Shortcuts app, but it's not that reliable. Another way is to add them to the dock, but it doesn't make sense anymore once you have many shortcuts. There's also a way to run from Spotlight Search or from Spotlight alternatives like Alfred and Raycast, but the best way to trigger shortcuts, in my opinion, is from the menu bar. To enable menu bar shortcuts, open the Shortcuts app, go into Settings, Sidebar, and enable the menu bar option. Now you can drag and drop shortcuts into the menu bar folder, and it should show up on the menu bar like this. If it doesn't appear, go to System Settings, Menu Bar, and then click on Add Controls. Here, you need to search for shortcuts, and then drag and drop the option that is named Show Menu Bar Collection to any place on the menu bar. Now you can click on the icon, and that would allow you to run your shortcuts. There's also an even faster way to trigger shortcuts, which is to specify a keyboard shortcut inside a shortcuts settings. Let's now talk about the shortcuts that I find myself using daily. You know, when you add a meeting link into a calendar app and you can just click on it and it will join the meeting for you? Well, there's a shortcut for that. It looks into your calendar for any upcoming events and joins a meeting if it finds any meeting links. However, before joining a meeting, it's important that I do the next thing, which is to make sure that I'm presentable. That's why I run this next shortcut. This shortcut pauses all music that is currently playing, turns on Do Not Disturb until I turn it back off, and opens Raycast so that I can use the open camera extension to check if I'm presentable or not. I also like to hide my desktop in case there are many files on it when sharing my screen, so I run the hide desktop shortcut almost every time I join a meeting. Another useful shortcut is shorten URL. I share links all the time, and it is always annoying when links are really long, especially Amazon links. It looks into the most recent item in the clipboard, which is most likely a URL. When running this shortcut, it shortens it and then copies it back to the clipboard so that you can get a shortened link by just pasting it again. I also have many shortcuts that run a couple of actions before I do something. For example, I have a shortcut named Open Development that opens Android Studio, moves it to the center, hides all the app except Zen browser, waits 5 seconds, and opens Spotify. I use it when doing Flutter development. There are also similar shortcuts like Open Editing, which opens DaVinci Resolve, and Auto Subs, hides Auto Subs because I don't need to use it all the time throughout my video editing session, and moves DaVinci to the center so that I could start my work. The final shortcut that is similar to the previous one is Start VoiceOver, and I run it every time I want to do voiceover when making YouTube videos. It opens Voice Memos, which is my preferred app of choice when recording voiceovers, moves its window to the right, opens Obsidian so that I can see my script, and move it to the opposite side of the screen. This allows me to look at the script while recording. Moving on to some useful tool style shortcuts. The first is Word Counter, which counts the amount of words from the copied text and shows me an estimate of how long it will take for me to read, as I like to say the most with the least amount of words. Character Counter works in a similar way but counts only the total number of characters. And finally, Network 2 allows me to see Wi-Fi info, do speed tests, test the ping, and do other Wi-Fi network related things easily with just a single click. Now let's talk about automations. Automations in shortcuts were added to the Mac with macOS Tahoe. Before Tahoe, automations were only supported on iOS, but now they can be added on macOS as well. One thing to keep in mind is that although shortcuts can be shared, automations can't. So you'd need to build your own automations. And here's how. Okay, let's now give you guys an example of how you can create your own automation. So firstly, open up the Shortcuts app and then go to the Automation tab and then click on plus. And that would allow you to select a trigger. It could be the time of day, an alarm, an email, or it changes to a folder, file, or an external drive. It could be a display, a stage manager, an app that is open, the battery level, charger, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, etc. Let's go with Bluetooth for this example. And depending on the trigger that you have chosen, you're going to get different options. In my case, I chose Bluetooth, and here this allows me to choose a Bluetooth device that is going to be used when triggering this automation. So it could be any Bluetooth device, or more specifically, my Redmi Buds 6 Lite, which is my earbuds. Let's go with my earbuds for now. I can choose if I want this automation to run when I connect to my earbuds or when I disconnect, or both at the same time. And here I could choose to only run after confirming, so it's going to give you a notification and then you confirm it there, or run it immediately. Let's go with run immediately for this example. I'm gonna click on next, and here is where you define the things that you want to do, the actions that you want the Mac to automatically perform once your MacBook connects to that specific Bluetooth device. Now I could choose a shortcut that I've already built or create new from scratch. Let's go with create new. So I'm gonna click on new shortcut, and now I could give a new shortcut that I can run, that is going to run when that automation is triggered. Let's name it example. And here, if I connect to my earbuds, what I could do is to open app. That app could be Spotify. There. And then what I could do next is to adjust the volume. So I can search for volume. I can set it to around 70%. And let's test it out. So I'm gonna run this standalone. It's gonna take me to Spotify, and then it's gonna set the volume here. Now let's see this automation in action. It's going to show up here. If you want to delete, you can right click on it, you can edit the shortcut or edit the automation or disable it or delete. Now let's actually see how this is going to work. So I'm going to take my earbuds, and then I'm gonna open the case so that it connects. There we go, it has been connected, and as you can see, it took me to the Spotify app and it automatically adjusted my volume. If I go to the volume here, as you can see, it's at 70%. This is how automations work on macOS. Unfortunately, good Mac shortcuts are a lot harder to find than iOS shortcuts. Thankfully, there are some ways to find them. The first place is to look into the shortcut gallery inside the Shortcuts app. There are also websites like Routine Hub and a few others where you can find shortcuts. I'll make sure to leave the links in the video description. To be honest, I just built mine over time. Whenever I find myself something doing repetitive, I would then create a shortcut to do it faster. And you don't have to create anything fancy or complex. Usually, the best shortcuts are simple ones that you actually end up using. Since good shortcuts are so hard to find, I'd love to hear from what you're using and what you have created. The shortcuts with real difference are iOS shortcuts, which you can find out here. So I'll see you there.